can a gymnast perform calisthenics elements and the other way around? It would seem that everything is obvious. Gymnasts are professionals and backyard sports are far from such a level of strength and technique as a gymnast. But do not hurry to draw conclusions. In this episode we took 6 top calisthenics athletes and 6 gymnasts and see who's actually stronger. Let's start with Heria, who is in the first grade of school, met a guy named Jorgie, who was already into gymnastics and performed various elements. After 23 years, Chris and Jorgie became top athletes in their directions. And let's find out what a calisthenics athlete can do in gymnastics. It started with a basic element so-called support swing. And as you can see, it was not a problem for Chris. But it is not surprising, because in gymnastics there is nothing to do without balances. The only difference is that calisthenics athletes perform handstand mainly in the forceful manner, while in gymnastics they use swinging movements. By the way, the gymnast aka Jorgie also pointed out another key difference between gymnastics and calisthenics. And it is absolutely all movements that are performed with straight arms. For example, pay attention to these movements. As you can see, Chris had the first problems, because it is necessary to perform transition from the L-sit to handstand on straight arms, and it is not easy for a calisthenics athlete.
Alright, we got up.
Definitely gotta keep practicing on that one.
As you can see, Chris had no problems with the transition itself, but he was unable to perform it on straight arms.
In gymnastics, all movements are labeled with the capital letters from A to I, where A is the most basic movements and I is most difficult ones. And the straight arm press is defined as B element in terms of difficulty.
And Chris at the second attempt managed to do this element on straight arms. Of course, the angles were not ideal, but as for a person who has never trained in this style, not bad, and in general we can count this element. Unfortunately, in this video we did not have the opportunity to see what the gymnast is capable of, because at the peak of his career he suffered a serious injury to his spine while performing dynamic element, to which Heria responded that he was also seriously injured in his time and also while performing dynamics. This proves us once again that the controlled movements of calisthenics are much less traumatic than dynamic gymnastics. This guy's name is Joaquin Alvarez, and he is the strongest gymnast from Chile. And this is my friend Andrei Primak, and in my subjective opinion, he is the strongest calisthenics athlete in the world. Let's see if our gymnast can do what Andrei does. And let's start right away with something interesting, like holding a front lever on bent arms. The task was to hold in this element for 3 seconds, and gymnast succeeded. Then Andrei showed to gymnast a really very specific variant of planche. Just look at the face of gymnast at this moment. The difficulty here is not in making planche itself, but in catching the balance, and Joaquin did not manage to do it from the first attempt. But after some explanation and adjustment from Andrei, take a look at the result.
Yes, hold, 3, legs more up, 3, 2, 1.
As you can see, the gymnast himself was surprised that he managed to do it, because purely visually it looks like something beyond physics. But then Andrei slightly complicated and performed the Maltese in this variant. It should be said that even in full planche format, the gymnast did not manage to keep balance in this element, but he was quite close. And in general, I'm sure that even with a minimal training, he would have succeeded. So let's move on to the next element. And it's once again tied and balance, but this time on gymnastics rings. This movement is already more traumatic and balance is performed in 4 planes.
Okay, try tuck planche, maybe. Yeah. Slowly.
It's too difficult.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But my shoulders, let's go.
This one you cannot perform without specific training, and such a specific skill is available not only to gymnasts, but rather a few people in the entire world. Let me remind you that Andrei is the real father of this movement and performed the planche even on ordinary kitchen plates. Therefore, even a professional gymnast was shocked by such variants of planches.
But planches are not the only thing that calisthenics athletes can surprise. In fact, the main distinguishing feature of gymnasts from calisthenics athletes is the base. And if you think that gymnasts gymnasts have much higher base. Then continue to watch this video.
Andrei suggested that the gymnasts perform push-ups in the handstand, but not in a classical form for the number of repetitions, but with a weight vest. They started with a 10 kg weight, gradually increasing and progressing the load. Surprisingly, with the vest, the difficulty is not only in pushing the weight out, but the balance itself becomes much more difficult. Nevertheless, the gymnast performed 10 and 15 kg without problems, 20 kg with a squeak, but he also did it, but 30 kg did not succeed.
Press, yeah!
Oh, it's too much.
On the fourth attempt, the gymnast did push the weight, but I think it was more because he slightly reduced the amplitude and did not go to the very bottom. But anyway, let's count 30 kg, because it's pretty decent for the first attempt. Let me remind you that in the episode with Sonderberg, Andrei set the world record in this movement by doing a 53 kg push-up in the handstand. Then just take a look at this construction. Let me remind you how it was.
Up, up, up. Come on, push. Nice. Hold it. Yeah. Bro.
Head, touch the floor. Fuck!
As you can see, the base of calisthenics athletes is dramatically higher, all because in gymnastics a huge amount of time is given to the beauty of the movements, while in calisthenics there are no specific tasks and athletes of this direction bring any movements to the absolute maximum, just to stand out among the others. On Neil Wilson's channel there was a battle in one of the basic movements, namely in pull-ups, where Neil himself competed as a representative of gymnastics, although retired, and blogger Brownie as a representative of calisthenics. Again, Brownie has a rather indirect relation to the sport, but he does it anyway. Both representatives are far from the peak forms, so the battle can be considered equal. So in pull-ups with plus 10 kg, Brownie did 20 reps, while the gymnast did kind of a 21, because the technique was quite jerky. Blogger Brownie just added a little swing, but gymnast, in my opinion, just messed out. Neil performed the same 21 reps on the parallel bars, with the same weight, but unlike the bar, these reps can at least be counted. At the same time, Brownie, being not even an average athlete, did 40 reps. The same two movements were performed by the above-mentioned athlete Joaquin Alvarez, but in his case the weight was much more serious, in particular plus 32 kg. It is obvious that Joaquin is an active gymnast, and his technique, unlike Neil and Brownie, was really nice to watch. Joaquin performed 8 clean reps, and with his body weight under 60 kg, this is quite a decent result. On bars the result was 20 reps, with the same weight, so the difference with the previous lifters is significant. But is it worth mentioning what calisthenics athletes are capable in these movements, especially if we take into account that subspecies of this direction is street lifting, in which was achieved a new record of 200 kg. And also in the comments I was sent a link to an athlete with the nickname Velocidad, who performed 80 clean pull-ups on the bars without stopping, and such a record has only 6,000 views in 6 months.
However, I was just talking about brute strength, which is primarily trained by calisthenics athletes. Just for those who keep saying that calisthenics isn't a sport and gymnasts are better in everything in terms of physiques and skills, then above tests tells us opposite. But I'm not gonna lie, in dynamics gymnasts are really on the whole another level.
After opening a huge PDF document on a gradation of elements in gymnastics, I realized that the most of the elements of complexity from G and above, that is the highest degrees of complexity, are either rings elements or somehow related to dynamics on the bar or on the floor. Just take a look what these cyborgs are doing on the floor. Without slow motion it's hard to even tell how many rotations and in which directions she did. And here is an example of category G on the bars. And to top it off, I, H and G elements in the bundle. Of course, this is the main difference between these two directions of calisthenics and gymnastics. Because if it is difficult to surprise a calisthenics athlete with statics, and sometimes they even surpass gymnasts, if in basic movements such as pull-ups, push-ups and even performance of elements with weights calisthenics athletes also show a level ahead above of top gymnasts, then in dynamic elements there is an abyss of universal proportions. But it is not surprising, because if you start training something like this without conditions, you you can break your neck. And I'm not only talking about insurance and soft mats, but also about experienced coaches and of course specific equipment in the form of bendable bars and parallel bars. Just look at how ridiculous the calisthenics athlete Austin Dunham looks in the dynamics. Heria also tried himself in the dynamics, and as an athlete who had previously trained dynamics, he managed to perform at least a simple jump, but of course not at the first attempt. Of course, for the first time, even this jump is a big accomplishment. But remembering what gymnasts do, it becomes clear that it simply makes no sense to seriously compare these two directions in dynamics.
Well, that's it. With you as always was Fyodor Chepki. If you want to find out why gymnasts are having such a huge biceps, then watch this video, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.